Hello. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay, let's see. Ricky, just me and you today, bud. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I was having issues there. The first time I tried to come in, so I had to go out and come back.
Same here. I'm assumed I was logged in, and so all of a sudden I joined and I was a participant for some reason, and I thought, okay, this isn't working out, but hey, let's act like we've done this before. I appreciate everybody being here. I'll dive right in. I know it's 2 o'clock. So I definitely want to first off say thank you for joining. It's so good to see you again, Tanisha. Tanisha's back on from last week, and nice to welcome you as well, Ricky. And again, this is going to be a weekly at 2 o'clock type scenario. So I promise that I'll try to keep it fresh every week and not touch up on too much of the things we've discussed before. I know in some scenarios that might not, it might not always happen because a lot of this stuff kind of ties together, but rest assured, hopefully we'll have some good advice for you folks to take with you and, kind of start implementing into your own strategy. And so today I wanted to speak about interview training. So, and it's just some interview tips in general. Let me get this here. Sorry about that, everybody. Get my gallery view. There we go. And so essentially, with the interview game that we're in, everybody who gets a chance to get an interview, first off, should just treat it like gold, because even if it's just an interview that, you're kind of half interested in the role, or maybe it's not super aligned with what you want to do, it's good practice still. So just treat it. That's the best advice I can give you from the 15 years I've been in this business, is just treat every one of them literally like it's your last, because there might be little questions you answer that you can improve upon for when the big interview comes. And I actually, a tip is that I usually will try for my clients is have them apply to some jobs that are those jobs we kind of call that we call them like any kind of, as long as you have a pulse kind of jobs. So like, not to knock people, but like mortgage sales, like, no offense, but that's just the way the industry has become. It is an industry that if you're off the street and can do some sales, come on in. We don't care about your background, your degree, whatever. Just get in here. If you can sell, you'll make some money doing it. So find some jobs that are literally just nonsense to you that you wouldn't feel bad about wasting 20 minutes of someone's time, because honestly, if they're looking for anybody to come off the street to just get in there and be essentially a body, to just go and, try to call on old leads and that kind of thing. I mean, I won't get too specific, but that's kind of the way that world works. Why not just shoot your resume over and get a practice interview in? So one advice I give my clients is try to do some practice interviews. Just be mindful that, of the other person's time too. So don't drag the thing out either, just kind of maybe let them know near the end of, say 20 minutes, 30 minutes that, you kindly would decline to go further, just doesn't seem like the right fit kind of thing. But at least you get a little practice in doing so. The biggest takeaway I want to leave you with in terms of the actual interview that, again, going into it, preparing and knowing that this is something you want to do, the role that you're interviewing for, is have the confidence. Confidence will shine through. And I know it's kind of a generic way to say things, but the way to have that confidence is knowledge. And so you preparing for an interview that aligns with your background is going to be easier than you preparing for an interview that might be the next step up that you're not totally sure on as to what the job will entail. I get that. So why not just build your confidence before that interview that might be a succession step, so that you are prepared as if you've been doing that work. We're not fibbing. We're not doing anything like that. We're just saying you can go in there doing a little bit of research. What are the what's the role entail? What's the industry that you'll be living in? What's the major players in the industry? What's their products and their offerings and their services? What's some news that they've been involved in, or maybe the industry's been involved in? Google News, I'm on it almost every day for certain things. So there's information that you can find out that will benefit you, just purely based on the fact that your answers will sound more authoritative and you will have more confidence, and it does shine through. I mean, when you're on the other end of the interview, You know, you've been doing it for so long, and staffing people, that you start to kind of understand, you know, who makes a good interviewer, or interviewee, I should say. So don't let your, whether it's nerves or you know, any sort of just soft skill related items prevent you from having that role, if you know you can do the role, right? So if it's the next job and you go, I would be really good at this, let that be known. But how do you do that? Understand your achievements, your accomplishments. What are you going to bring in a new role that's value offered based, you know, something that's going to wow them, make them kind of almost feel for you in a sense of, you know, kind of feel what you can offer, and then have it where, you know, they, during the interview, they're so excited about what you have to talk about. You can't possibly get in all these achievements and these wins. You know, you just keep riffing with the people and talking with them, and just, you know, almost like an open discussion rather than a Q&A. The biggest thing I would say is, I know it's tough. This is one of those ones where if you can do this, it will set you up for so much success, is to find their pain points. Because of this opening, here's what's going on with them, and here's where they're having issues. You can literally, if you can ping that kind of issue that they're having, and then bring in some of these narratives to your question, to your answers, that will meet and be such harmony for you that honestly, you'll feel like you're rolling. And that's where you should be. I mean, it should be exciting. You should be excited to almost can't wait for that next question, so you can just get this next narrative mentioned. And by narratives, I just mean your successes, your achievements, little stories, quick and concise, you know, 1-2 minutes. Don't drag it out. Don't be redundant. If you talk about project X, move on to Y and Z. Don't keep going and beating a dead horse. I mean, I can't stress that enough, how boring it is to have someone go, I can't think of any other successes. I guess I'll just go back to this one success that I can't quite stop talking about. And I got some notes here I want to make sure I get to, the narratives, whether it's shown through a project, success story, or almost a metric-based achievement, where it doesn't have to sound so technical when you're telling them that. So kind of think of the conceptual achievement that you've had that might have a, you know, let's say you drove 200 million in sales because you salvaged a fledgling customer relationship and built up 3 other additional large clients. You know, get it where your answer isn't so stiff and like resume rigid, but more of an interaction where you can kind of explain a little bit more of the details of why that revenue gain was so important and how you achieved that. That will make for a nice little 2-minute story and win that will cover that one line on your resume. Then think of some other lines on your resume that are really cool that you make sure that you want to tell these people that are behind the other, you know, on the other side of the table. Again, if it relates to the role, even better. If it relates to the pain point, I mean, you're talking resonating stuff now. If it's just a generalized win or victory, that's fine too, so long as it's really cool. If it's something that's kind of like anyone who's been interviewing for this role also has been telling us, be mindful of that. If it's something so generic, even if it's like, you know, kind of somewhat relatable, but maybe not, and you're still kind of having a hard time figuring out if this really is worth talking about, do your research to figure it out before the interview. Don't just shoot from the hip. I'm a big proponent, and especially now with virtual interviewing, of having a little bit of like a cheat sheet in front of you. Definitely want your resume, because they might grill you line item by line item. I've been in those interviews. But also maybe a little like project success list where it's a little mnemonic. I think that's the word, mnemonic. A little like word that reminds you of what that project is that you have to get to. And then as you're doing the interview, you can even cross off those, because now you've talked about it, get rid of that project. No more talking about it. Unless of course it's really circumstantial where, you know, you can kind of almost keep explaining that same success maybe later on. But be mindful of being redundant. And then I'll tell you, just a couple quick little like technical things for virtual interviewing, because a lot of it's virtual now, is one, practice, get logged in, fake interview with your friend, and really kind of hone the technical stuff. Try to have a high quality it's almost like with me in auditions when I do acting on the side, you know, now they're balking at us if we don't have the quality of the audition, because people are using these high def type things to record, these cameras and, you know, mics, lava mics and all this stuff. So people are taking it real serious. So directors like it. They essentially want to see auditions that almost immerse them into this role or this scene where it's like almost like you could just put it into this scene, the audition itself, into the scene of the show or the movie, and it will still roll on. That's what they want. They want it where they're not interrupting this visual flow that they're on. That's how they want these auditions. So and I'm seeing this convert into this interviewing game. They want high quality interviews. So maybe you have to fork over a little bit of bucks to get a better camera if you have a dated laptop. I know some of these laptops are already equipped fine, but just kind of make sure you're not looking too fuzzy. And make sure your audio is on point. You might have to tinker around with your internal levels and that kind of thing, but just get it where that's not going to be the issue. And then second, if you want to put like a little up here, kind of by the eye, a little, you know, piece of paper or, you know, a fake face or something you print out, whatever. So you're looking at that face the whole time or that piece of paper during the interview, because you want to treat this like you're in the room itself. And it's actually kind of nice that you're not in it, because you can kind of live in this smaller room, you know, less intimidating. So use that, you know, and just make sure, though, you're focused up there. You don't want to be like, you know, kind of like this when you're talking to them and thinking of you know, like obviously if you have a question, you're not sure what to say, you can take a moment and say, oh, give me, I would appreciate a minute here so I can formulate my answer. Or, you know, would you mind if I take a second here? I'd like to think about that. Or just don't say anything. Just kind of, you know, or like, no, I'm sorry, I shouldn't do that. But, you know, take a second where they'll appreciate you formulating your answer rather than just starting to ramble. That is going to be key for you to kind of have the confidence again, know yourself inside out and what you can bring to this particular role, and then treat it like a regular interview. Dress, you know, one up, that whole thing where, you know, if you're interviewing for a management role and your regular day-to-day is a polo, but the managers all wear button-down shirts, no ties, well, then wear a button-down shirt, no tie. It's the next roll-up kind of mentality. Other than that, though, you know, interviewing should not be stressful. You're in the room. They want you to be there. They're not wasting a half hour, an hour of their time because they don't think, you know, because they think it's fun to have Ricky in front of us for 30 minutes. No, they want Ricky to be the person. That's why they have you there. They want to move on to the next of the 50 other openings they have. So when you're already got the interview, it's Willy Wonka's golden ticket. Treat it like such. They want you to be the person. Okay, that was my interview spiel for today. I will definitely touch up on more as I continue these series of lives going forward. So, you know, sometime down the road, maybe we'll talk about closing questions or how to find pain points or just more specifics. But I want to do an overview today because this is only week 2 for me of these live streams. So, you know, as I keep going further in this journey, I will kind of keep getting more and more microscopic and trying to offer just detailed advice. But, you know, thanks for joining in. And if anybody has any questions, you know, feel free to ask away. I have, we have 15 more minutes here if need be. And I just thank 𝗏𝗏😏 and Ricky for joining us this week. So thank you for that, guys.
No, thank you. This has been good. Been going through a number of interviews the last few weeks, and I think the biggest thing that I've struggled with is making sure I have very concise answers, because being concise is a skill. I mean, it's something you have to practice at. And I think I made a note of to have that cheat list of projects. And I think that's one of the key things versus trying to, hey, I've done it for 32 years. I know what I'm talking about. I need to make sure I formulate that list around the role, prioritized, and then just check them off as I go, as you mentioned. Because I think that, again, that's one of the biggest things I think I've struggled with is just being that very concise, give them a minute and move on. So
exactly. And you know, helpful. It's funny. I always somehow parlay my answers into sports themes, but for me, it's like when someone comes up to me and goes, hey, the Browns are pretty good now. In my head, it's like, I have 30 years of despair and I understand exactly what it's been to get to this point, but it's like, you're almost just so exhausted about talking about it that you're like, you should know how I feel and how exactly what everything entailed to get here. Now I got to go
Yep.
explain it to you, but you can't. You almost have to kid glove everybody like they've never even heard of the football game, let alone the Browns. So exactly that mentality of, okay, this person doesn't know the 30 years experience I bring. I got to almost start from chapter one. And as kind of, you know, some days you're either, you know, jaded by that fact or just kind of upset about it, or just like don't have the energy to go and expand upon all this stuff. You just gotta kind of have to remind yourself, act like you're telling your buddy who has no idea what you're talking about everything. I mean, not that casual, keep it professional, still an interview, which is another good advice. Don't ever get too casual. The soon as you feel like you're comfortable with these people, after like even 15 minutes in there, there could be one little Freudian slip up that will determine your outcome. And I've lived it and I've also seen it. So don't get casual, but you know what I mean? Like explain it professionally, but start from like not mid-sentence where they're supposed to already know the first 5 words. And now you just got to complete it. It's like, no, start with first word of the sentence and get to the end. So I'm glad you pointed that out, Ricky. Thank you for that. And honestly, guys, if you, like Tanisha, I know you were here last week. If anybody has offline questions specifically, I know me and Tanisha were working together last week after the call, but, you know, Ricky, ping me if you have questions. I'm always an open book. So email, LinkedIn message, whatever, and, you know, something specific to you. Or if you just need a recap of what I said, I have some links that I've kind of pulled some of these answers from my old writings just to see where, you know, what I can put together. But I have no problem sharing that so you can review. But yeah, essentially, you know, again, Tuesdays, 2 o'clock on Facebook, Wednesdays, 2 o'clock at the Zoom link. And next week we'll start at 2 exactly, not 2:02. Yep. I'm so sorry if I scared everybody.
No, it's okay. It's all right.
Yeah. 0 for 2, Tanisha. I'm going for next week. We're going to be 1 for 3 next week for perfect broadcast.
Okay. I'll hold you to that, right?
Yeah. And tell your friends, guys, anybody that can help. I'm going to be doing this for a while because I think it's important to open up the secrets, so to speak, and let people into our world of hiring and that's, you know, everything that goes with it. Because, you know, for us, it's 5 minutes to formulate an answer. It could take you 2 hours of research, that 5 minutes I can give you. So what's the point of giving runarounds? I mean, I don't mind just giving it to you straight shooting. But again, you know, I'll leave you with this for this week. Hiring managers are people too. It's a hiring game. It's a mess, but it's expensive. So that's why there are certain things in place to get the right person. So it's not you, it's just it. If you're the person they pick and you quit in a month because you hated the job, you're the reason why it's expensive and why we have all these hurdles to jump over, because people do that and they can't keep going through the hiring. They want people on in the fold for a while. So, you know, be gentle to the HR folks. They're trying to. So, hey, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
I'm going to post this also if you want to see it again. It'll be on my YouTube. And but I will see you guys next week. And thanks for joining today.
All right. Thank you very much.
Cheers,
Thank
everybody.
you.